Hello. I feel like I have not been on here in a little while. I'm just going to wait until Instagram lets my followers know that I am now live. The waiting game. Feeling weird. I haven't been on here in a while, and I just felt I kind of jump on here when I feel inspired. And I've titled this one, What If You Could Have Everything That You Want? And this is, I really, really, really believe that you can have anything and everything you want in your life. And it's not to say that our idea of what we want doesn't change as we grow and as we evolve, because we are always evolving. We are always growing. And so much of the work I do on myself and what I help my clients learn to do is to lean into this trust, lean into this overwhelming trust that you're on the path you're meant to be on. And when you can start believing that for yourself, events that may have caused you pain or suffering or a lot of negative emotion before doesn't really cause you the same emotion, or at least not at the level of intensity that you may think. But this is actually what I think blocks us from really getting in alignment with what we want and achieving the goals that we want to have. Is we feel contrast or negative emotion come up, or and we oftentimes blame the circumstance, blame what the number on the scale says, blame the client not renewing, or the business not making the money it wanted, or the fight that we had with our partner, or what somebody else said to us. We very often slip into a place of victimhood, of victim mentality. And I feel sometimes I have to say that softly to people because they can be so stuck in their story. But I also know I can be soft with them, because you have to first accept that you are ready to take full emotional responsibility for your life. And emotional responsibility means you're no longer in victimhood. You're no longer going to blame anything outside of you, any person outside of you, for the way you're emotionally feeling. And this can be challenging and can be hard, but it's also really important to know that this doesn't prevent you from feeling negative emotion. We're supposed to feel negative emotion. This is something that many of us don't believe or know or even allow to entertain. We just kind of criticize ourselves. And when we're feeling that anxiety or that insecurity or that overwhelm or that hate or that anger, right? I work with a lot of my clients who don't feel an emotional control. They react. They totally react to their emotions. And I have a funny story about me totally reacting to my emotions with a little fight, not really, that I had with my husband this week. So I'm going to share that because this is just like proof of this work and how powerful it can be. And it is those little moments, right? That those little moments where you find yourself reacting to your emotions, right? You stub your toe, or you can't find your keys, or you get stuck in traffic, or the order doesn't come on time, or just like things that can set us off. Your partner looked at you the wrong way. It can be all of these things. And when we want to blame, we lose our control. We lose our emotional power. And so much of this work and so much of creating a life that you want and getting what you want in your life starts with emotional responsibility. Well, I feel it really actually starts with awareness. You have to learn how to become aware. You have to become self-aware. And I say it in the most loving way. And if you haven't listened to my podcast on self-awareness and my latest podcast on the value of connecting with how much you matter, definitely go listen to those on the Soulfully Confident podcast. But it's so important to step into awareness. And when you step into awareness, you begin to own your shit. You begin to own your emotions. And we aren't really taught this growing up. We aren't really taught to really take full responsibility for how we're feeling. And this is so interesting, and me learning this work and becoming a coach and doing this work on myself every single day and seeing how amazing the results I get in my life. And it's not always what everybody else can see, right? And that's also another thing. Getting what you want in life, when you need other people to see that you've reached a certain point, I believe that can my Bluetooth, that can prevent you from actually getting in alignment with all the other things that you want, because that just shows that we're still seeking that external validation to feel good about ourselves. And it's totally human. It's totally normal. I slip into that at times too. But that self-awareness, my best friend, my connection to my higher self, my connection to God, to pure positive energy that guides me, is always there, lovingly watching my human brain react or blame or look at external things and feel that I need them to be fulfilled. And I can see that, though. That's what this work does for me. That's what this work does for my clients. And it's totally a journey to get there. But if I can see when I'm dependent on the result to feel good now, when I'm dependent on having the body I want in order to love my body, having my husband do certain things and say certain things to feel loved and appreciated and connected to him, to make a certain amount of money in my business to feel successful, to have a certain amount of clients to feel like I'm a good coach, to have certain conversations or adventures to feel like I've lived my life, right? All of these things put me in a powerless place if I am dependent upon those happening in order to feel good. So it actually takes me further away from being in alignment with my true and best self. When we are feeling negative emotion, this is a beautiful way to understand negative emotion that puts this just beautiful bubble around it in my perception. So think of a negative emotion like this. Negative emotions are normal. They're part of the human experience. Negative emotions are our teachers. They are teaching us. And the biggest, main thing I believe that they're teaching me when I feel a negative emotion, the reason I am feeling a negative emotion is because I am disconnected from my best self. It is teaching me, boom, anxiety, boom, insecurity, boom, anger, annoyance, frustration, overwhelm, insecurity, whatever it is. The moment that I'm in awareness and I recognize how I'm feeling, I am getting into the practice more and more of thanking that emotion for coming. I'll literally say in my head, thank you, anxiety, for being here. You're teaching me and showing me that I'm just disconnected from who I really am. Because who I really am is love and kindness and compassionate and whole and worthy and enough and happy and calm and relaxed and inspired and all the things that I want to be. Not all at once, but I embody those things, those emotions at different moments. And when I'm feeling the wide range of negative emotions, they are my teacher. They are telling me, hey, I'm telling you right now with this anxiety, I'm telling you right now with this annoyance, with this anger, that you are out of alignment to who you really are. And when who you really are is up here, your best self, your higher self, who God created you to be, will never come down and join you at this level. So you're feeling this strain. You're being pulled from something you know, or at least your best self knows, is the best you. So imagine how, let me try to come up with an analogy here. If imagine somebody you really love, or maybe a child, and you're with your child and somebody comes to you and says, this isn't your child. This isn't your child. I'm taking this child. Now, this child doesn't belong to you. You would not believe it. You would not, and no part of you would believe that what they're saying is true. You'd be so disconnected from what they're saying. And so like that level of disconnection, I don't know if that was the best analogy, but that level of disconnection from that belief is not in alignment with who you really are. So in that analogy, it would be you are really that person's mother, that child's mother, and what they're saying is no way the truth. And so the disconnection is painful. Same thing with who you are. So if you think of negative emotion as your teacher, as your guide, your doubt, your fear, your indecisiveness. I just coached somebody the other day on how they totally label themselves as just this indecisive person, which I totally used to be that person in every regard. For the big decisions, like, oh, I just don't want to decide. I just hope like something falls through. So it'll be decided for me, which could be I should do a whole other recording on this, because indecisiveness is just a belief. You're just putting yourself in this box. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm indecisive, you're just reconfirming that belief. And that indecisiveness feels uncomfortable. It feels like negative emotion, which means like the real you, when you're in full alignment, knows exactly what to do. It knows exactly how to guide you. And so the more and more you learn that negative emotions are your teachers, the less negative they feel. The more healthily you process them, the more healthily you get through them. And this gets you closer to being in alignment. And when you're in alignment, when you're connected to your best self, your most loving, kind self, it's so much easier to get what you want. And the crazy best part of it all is when you're in alignment, you release the results. You release the body goals, you release the money goals, you release the relationship goals. And I don't mean you forget them. I don't mean that they're not still a goal for you. You release the pressure on yourself, the focus on the negativity, the lack of where you are now to where you want to be. You release all that and you're just in the present moment, appreciating. When you are in alignment, you are full of appreciation and gratitude. It is overwhelming how amazing gratitude and appreciation feel. And the more grateful you are, the more you appreciate everything in your life, the more you get what you want. And I don't practice my days full of gratitude so I can get what I want. It's not in that intention. I do it because it fucking feels good. It feels good to look at my life and love everything I see. And I mean like literally everything, from the decor on my walls to the leaves I see on my back patio to my bike that I'm looking at to the tea I'm looking at. Like, if you fill your heart and your mind with such gratitude, your whole entire life will change. And it is a practice. It is an intentional practice. And this is something that I really help my clients do. Because when you're full of appreciation and gratitude, I mean, it can be like this overwhelming flow of emotion. I laugh when I say this, because if there was a camera there's a camera here right now, but if there was a video camera watching me yesterday, swaying to this amazing song, my arms wrapped around myself, crying. Just this emotion of gratitude overflowing. And I was laughing at myself afterwards, but I literally like sobbed, cried. But it felt so good. It just came from my movement, from appreciating what my body can do and the music I was listening to. And it was just, felt so fucking good. And then I just started crying, but it was amazing tears. And then after I just felt so full. And the interesting thing from your perspective, learning this work, is that if you were to have looked at that day, waking up late, I woke up late, snoozed my alarm. I was so annoyed with my husband that morning, so annoyed. And I'll tell you that story because it ties in well. I was so annoyed with him. A few other things happened that you would think, if you watched the day and how I started it, that I wasn't practicing gratitude, or I wasn't being appreciative, or all these things like goals in my business, or what a client said, or anything like that could have, from your perception, been like, oh, that sucks. God, I'm sorry. Like, oh shit. Oh God, I can't believe her husband did that. Oh, I can't believe her client said that, or I can't believe whatever. Like, you would think like, oh yeah, she should be annoyed. She should definitely be annoyed. She should definitely be frustrated. And not to say I don't feel those emotions, but then later that day, I experienced this beautiful moment of just gratitude and connection because I don't sit in that shit anymore. I don't sit in my negative emotion like I used to, not nearly as long as I used to, because I have this amazing self-awareness, because I know that when I'm feeling negative emotion, when I'm annoyed with my husband, that shit is on me. I take full responsibility for any time I'm feeling any emotion, including the joy, the love, but also including the anger and the frustration. But especially with the negative emotions, we want to blame. And that's exactly what I tried to do when I was so annoyed with my husband. I reacted. I totally mean texted him. I'm sitting there and I'm seeing myself do this, and I just told myself this was not me in awareness. I don't give a shit. I'm going to be a bitch right now is what my mind said. I'm just going to do it. Took me about 30 seconds. Then I was like, okay, I released that. I let that out. I'm not really proud of it. I went back. I was like, look, I love you. I just don't appreciate that you took all the phone chargers after I asked you not to. You know, I work from my phone. That was the issue, by the way. But I was so annoyed, right? So annoyed. And I sat back. The moment I stepped into loving awareness, right? Loving awareness, where I'm not blaming him, where I'm noticing the thoughts I'm having about the situation, where I'm slipping into victimhood, blaming my husband, ruining my morning. When I owned that shit, I had to laugh. It all immediately released. And you know when it released? I found a solution. I knew there was a charger at the gym I could use, which is right down the street, and my neighbors are amazing, and they've lent me a charger before, because this has happened multiple times. But I didn't see that solution when I was in my annoyance and anger. Right? I owned my shit. I took responsibility for my emotions, which led me to sending a much nicer text to my husband, but also allowed me to express how I was feeling to him in a way where he would hear me and not in a mean way. Because I can still express how I'm feeling and still make requests of him to leave me a charger, please. Right? Which was simple, right? What a simple situation, a phone charger. But this is the shit that so many of my clients and so many of you get into fights with your partner or your mother or your kid or your boss. It's the little things. Then we build and build and build and play a story. And every time you build that negative story, you are getting further and further out of alignment with your best self, meaning you're getting further and further away from creating what you want in your life, creating what you want in that relationship, right? If I would have stayed in that annoyance towards my husband, it would have ruined the rest of my day. I would have added to this little black negative evidence box that he's inconsiderate and rude and selfish and doesn't care about me and da-da-da-da-da. All this shit, which is what I used to do, and I don't do that anymore because that loving self-awareness comes in and it's like, hey, do you want to be annoyed with him all day? Do you really think he did it on purpose? Do you want to love him? Do you want to appreciate all the amazing things he is? And it's like, yes. But I had to process through that. And that's the beauty of this work. You get to process through all the negative emotions in order to get back into alignment so you can start getting what you want in your life. But in order to really get what you want in your life, you have to feel good now. You have to be full of gratitude and appreciation. You have to feel good now. And when you feel good now, you don't think that you're not on your way. And a perfect example of that happened to me today. Amazing call with a potential client. So want her in my program, just amazing. Like, she cried on the call, I cried a little on the call. She was so excited, and I just know this work. I believe this work, and I know it would help her. And she decided to wait to join, or maybe not, who knows. And I felt disappointment, but also understanding. But that could, for many entrepreneurs, when they get a no, and this is not the first no I've gotten, I get lots of no's, that it can sink you. And it could be Great. I'm not going to make the money I wanted to make this month. Great. Now she must not like me. I must not be a good coach. Great. Like, well, if people keep saying no, when's one going to say yes? And I'm like, no. Immediately after that, I told my husband, like, oh, bummer, she didn't join. But it's okay. Like, we'll see. Maybe in the future. And I did my affirmations. Like, clients come to me all the time. Perfect fit clients ready to go all in, do this work and get the most amazing results come to me all the time. I trust in this. And that felt so good to sink back into that belief in my brain. That self-awareness is always like, hey, Em, I love you. What do you want to believe? If you could believe anything, what do you want to believe? And it's like, clients come to me all the time. Or earlier, like yesterday, what do you want to believe about your husband? He's loving and he's considerate. And I love him, and this is not worth being annoyed at. I'm good. I'm done. I find the humor in it. But so many of us, we don't do this. And I am good at teaching you how to do it. I believe I'm good at it because I live it. I truly, truly live it. And that does not mean that I don't have moments like yesterday where I was a bitch to my husband or where I have doubt and fear come over me. I do, but I see it. And I know when the chatter is my inner critic and my ego and not when it's love and self-awareness. I know when it's love and self-awareness. I know when it's my inner critic and my ego. And so many people don't know how to distinguish between the two. And so they believe these limiting beliefs that they've been programmed to believe. And it's okay. We all have them. We all have them. But it's learning to uncover them, work through them so you can get in more alignment with your best self. Feel good now before the results. And I swear to you, watch the results come into your life. That is, in simplest terms, that is how it works. You have to feel good ahead of time. You have to appreciate more and more every day. You have to fill your body with the energetic vibrational frequency of appreciation and gratitude, of love, of acceptance, of trust, of fun and excitement. And when you're not feeling that way, you have to thank that negative emotion and know it's teaching you and know that those other emotions are on their way. And I literally say that to myself. I don't judge myself for feeling negative emotion. I allow it. I think it. And I know appreciation and love and trust is just around the corner. And when I feel all that, I feel so good. I feel inspired. I do more in my business. I'm kind and loving and fun with my husband and my family and my friends and my body. And it's just feels so good. So if you want to get what you want in life, stop waiting for the results in order to feel good. Stop depending on other people to fulfill you. Own your shit, take responsibility for your emotions in the most empowering, loving way. Learn self-awareness. Accept and allow negative emotion. They're your teachers. And appreciate everything in your life, including the things you may not think you can find appreciation in. Find it. Okay. Woo! Rampage. That felt really good. I felt so good sharing all of that. All right. So much love to you all. That is all I got. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.